Previously on Sabine River Valley.
Hey, what's going on, folks? Bienvenue. My name is Wade, and this is Sabine River Valley. Well, if you've ever watched any of my videos, you probably know how much I like flail mowers.
Flail mowers.
They're one of my favorite implements for a tractor, and behind me, I've got a brand new one.
A brand new flail mower.
From Victory Tractor Implements. Now it's all crated up. We're gonna have to undo all of that, unbolt all that, get it out of there, and then there's a few things on it you gotta set up first. So we're gonna go through all that today.
We'll set up the flail mower.
But I'm also gonna talk to you about why I have this flail mower and what I think about Victory. So let's get started.
And now the conclusion.
So 2 years ago when I bought my first tractor, I knew I wanted a flail mower immediately. Our property has a bunch of like hills and banks on where you've got to cut from the top or below. And so I didn't just want a flail mower, like a standard flail mower. I wanted an embankment or a ditch bank flail mower that you could swing out to the side, and then you could angle it up or down depending on, you know, if you're below or above cutting something. So I knew that's what I wanted, and I started researching flail mowers, and I came across a bunch of brands, and I found one. I found a website, and it was Victory Tractor Implements. The website is actually etractorimplements.com. Anyway, I started looking at their flail mowers, and they really matched my tractor really well. I have a compact utility tractor, so it's not a super large tractor, but it is very much larger than your typical compact tractors that you see today. And I needed something that was right for its horsepower and its weight. Now, the PTO horsepower on that is about 62. So it was looking for a heavy duty flail mower at that horsepower. There were some options out there, but a lot of them were way outside of my budget. Most of them were way outside of my budget. But Victory had one that fit perfectly with it. So I didn't know anything about them, and I decided to reach out and ask them some questions. So I used Facebook Messenger and sent them a message, and I was really shocked that not long after they replied back to me and answered all my questions. Then I asked them some more questions. I wanted to know about, you know, the build quality. I wanted to see if I could kind of get an idea of that, because, you know, their stuff is sold on their website. You're not really going out to dealers. At least in our area, there are no dealers that carry them. It's all on their website. And I don't mind that. I come from a generation where we buy stuff online. But to do that, I really need to get all the data I can about that piece of equipment before I pull the trigger. So they sent me the information I was looking for. They sent me photos. I wanted to see the thickness of the steel, the welds, things like that on there. And look, I was new to this world when I got it, and I took a chance. Everything, I thought it looked good. I thought it looked right, but I still took a chance with it. So I ordered the flail mower. It was delivered, and I put it together, and it was a beast. It was so heavy. It was so heavy. I call this 2,000 pounds, and it is. It's between 1,500 and 2,000 pounds. I think closer to 2,000 pounds. So it's just a beast. And got it all hooked up, brought it out to the property and started cutting with it. And I was so impressed by what it was doing. So I was cutting grass with it. I was cutting saplings. I was cutting just some thicker stuff with it. And it just was doing the job. It was great. It was leaving a great cut. It was just, I was really impressed by that cut. But then I got into some areas that had been overgrown for quite a few years that had things in there that were 2 and 3 inches. And I would come up to those and I would bring the mower up completely on its side, get up next to them, and then I would lay that mower down over them and let it just chop it out. And it was just destroying the stuff. It was doing such a good job with this stuff. And so, well, one day I'm out here cutting, and I cut at about 5 miles an hour in medium range, 3rd gear on my tractor. So that's my comfortable cut, just cruising. And I got to an area where a couple of trees had come in and grown up, and I wanted to reclaim that as hayfield. So I'm coming up on it, and I'm like, you know what? I want to hit that at full speed. I just want to hit it at full speed and see what it does. I'm gonna take a chance with it. So here I come. I get right before it. I use my hydraulic top link to angle the mower as far down as it'll go, which when I do that, it scalps the ground. So I normally don't want to do that. I normally don't want to scalp the ground, but right here I did want to scalp it. I wanted to get the trunk of that small tree as close to the ground as I could. So right before I got to it, I angled that and I hit it at full speed and pulled the mower back up to its normal angle and looked back, and there was absolutely nothing there. It was like that thing had never existed. There was no trunk, there was no stub, it was just gone. And the mower acted like it didn't even do anything. It just took it out. It was just a beast, a champ. The tractor, I didn't feel it with the tractor, I didn't feel it with the mower. I mean, it just destroyed it. It was gone. So I was really, really impressed with this thing. And I've used this, I've cut with this so many times, and it is in great shape. There's no bends, there's no dings. The powder coating, there's a couple places here where you can see I really hit it with something, but it's not like flaking off or anything. In fact, I probably should just go and try to color match this and just spray that to make sure that doesn't go anywhere else. But I mean, it's in great shape. It's just such a good mower. I'm just so impressed with it. The teeth are still great. There's no broken teeth. There's some teeth on there that I could probably take off and grind a little to just get a cleaner edge on it. But there's no broken teeth or anything on it. I really don't have to. I've never changed the belts. I ordered an extra set of belts to go with this. I've never had to use them. The roller on the bottom, it still moves smooth. It's just, I just can't say enough good things about this mower. So the only problem is as a YouTuber, I want to show you equipment that you can actually go out and buy. And they stopped making this specific model the year after I bought it, and they went to a different one that's a little bit heavier horsepower. So I couldn't tell you, hey, this is what I'm using on my tractor. Go buy this, because it wasn't there anymore. Now, man, that really stunk. I really hated that. So, I watch their website every once in a while, and I was on there one day. This was back in October of 2024, and they had a brand new model of heavy duty flail mower that they had on the site. It was coming out in the spring of 2025 this year. And so I thought, man, that's pretty cool. Well, they've got no videos or anything on it, right? So, I was like, maybe I could, I don't know, talk them into sending me one and letting me use it and make, a video for them so they'd have one. I don't know. how do you do this? I don't know how you do YouTube, but anyway. So I reached out to them, and pretty quickly I actually got a response back, and they were like, you know, we would actually be interested in that. So we were sitting there talking about it, and they, you know, they were kind of, these things are expensive, right? This is a big investment. So we were first talking about maybe me buying one at a highly discounted price, and, you know, making a video on it. And I understood that, you know, I'm new. Am I going to make the video? You know, how do you guarantee that, right? I get that. And so I was like, yeah, you know, I might be able to do that. And what I was thinking is I could sell this one and then to pay for the new one. But I got to tell you, I didn't want to sell this one. I was kind of sad about that because this is such a good mower, and I didn't know what I was getting with the new one. What if the new one wasn't as good as this one? So I was sitting there, I was trying to find someone to buy this, and a few weeks had gone by, and Victory reached out to me again, and they asked me, hey, you know, are you still interested? And I said, yes, I'm very much interested in doing this, but I've got to sell this mower first, and I just haven't been able to quite yet. And I figured I would be able to because spring was coming up, you know, and that's when people start realizing that they need something. And so, but they asked me, hey, do you mind if we have a phone call together and talk about all this? And I was like, no, that's great. So the next day after, something like that, we jumped on a phone call together, and one of the guys I was talking to, he said, hey, listen, we've got another idea. So he said, you know, we actually want more video out there of our products. We're really ready to start showing these off, and we believe in our products. We think they're great. We think that when people see them, they'll agree and they'll want to buy them, and we need more video. We know that. So instead of you know, buying one and us sending it to you, how about we just enter into a relationship with you, and we'll send you equipment, you do videos on it, and you keep the equipment, and you let people see these things in action. What do you think about that? What do you mean, what do I think? No, I don't want to do that. No, of course. Yes, absolutely. Send me equipment and I will put it through its paces. I'll do, you know, I'll try to do great videos on it if I can. And absolutely. So we set this up, and they are sending me equipment to use. It'll be flail mowers and other equipment. I've got another piece of equipment up there I'm really excited to show y'all. I've got one that's coming today that's going to be delivered today for something else. And I'm really excited about this. I hope it really, you know, as a YouTuber, I understand that you like to see new equipment. That, you know, you're out there, you want to research that, that's what you're looking for. But as a YouTuber, if you're just showing off just the stuff that you have, it's difficult to provide that type of content to people because, you know, it's expensive, and you just can't buy new equipment every time you turn around to do this. It just isn't financially viable. And so one of the things as YouTubers, we do want to enter into relationships with companies who will work with us like that, so we can have more content to show off. And, you know, this was the very first company to ask me to do this, and I'm super excited about it. So I'm going to be showing you some of their products. Now look, I'm probably going to have a bias towards them. I think so. You know, it might be subconsciously, but there's going to be a bias towards them, right? So what you need to do is you need to look at the information that I provide you. You need to look at the data that I provide you, and you need to really take that with a grain of salt, right? You need to use critical thinking when you're looking at it. I I want to be honest with you about it. I'm going to try to be honest as I can with it, but I know that there's probably going to be some type of bias there. So do that. Use critical thinking when I'm showing you anything. You know, ask me questions in the comments and I will try to get you the answers back to that. But, you know, when we're looking at this stuff, we'll look at the build quality. We'll look at the steel. We'll look at the welds on here. We'll try, you know, our best at the, you know, time of it being new to look at the coatings on them. But now, you know, 2 years later to come back maybe in videos, right, and show you, you know, how they're still holding up. Like this one, right? I've got this right here where it looks like I hit something pretty hard, like maybe a piece of metal or something on it, but the rest of it didn't chip off around it, right? This coating has remained great all across this thing. So, and it's sitting out here in the sun. This is not, I don't have a cover yet. You know, that's something that I hope to get soon, but I don't have a cover. So this has been sitting out in the weather for 2 years and it still looks great. It's still doing great and holding up. But those are the things that you need to look at, right? So anyway, but we'll get to it with this new mower and we'll go through it and we'll look at it and we'll kind of hopefully give you a good idea whether this is something that you'd like to purchase or not. So let's get to it.
A brand new flail mower.